Hi, I'm Vividha. Today, May 19th, is the International Learning Day at Work. On this occasion, we get the opportunity of chatting with Mr. Adil Malia, Group President HR, here at Essar on the significance of this Learning Day. So, sir, if you could tell us the significance of this International Learning Day at Work.
Vividha, first of all, thank you for having me here, and it is my pleasure to be sharing some thoughts on the basis of the article that I had written. First of all, it's very important to understand that most people believe that learning happens only in schools and colleges. But the reality of life is that organizations like living people, and they are based on the contributions that people make. Organizations also grow on the basis of the knowledge they bring to the table in the process of value creation. And this knowledge needs to be assimilated. It is based on the learnings people have whilst they are growing in the organization. They have transactions in the organization. They have experiences in the organization. And it is on the basis of that the organization builds its entire bank of knowledge on which it builds its value. Now, this knowledge needs to be transferred at all points of time from one generation of managers to the next generation of managers, so that these experiences, this knowledge, this learning is not left behind and it perpetuates in the system. And therefore, to create this spirit of learning in the organization, to keep reminding people in corporate world that organizations are succeeding only if they have a learning base to themselves, the International Learning Day at Work is celebrated. So it's just a thing to constantly remind you, reinforce you, and keep triggering the belief that learning is what makes the organization big.
So earlier in the week, your article on International Learning Day at Work, it appeared in the Economic Times, where you talk about the theory of punctuated equilibrium. So what exactly is this theory all about?
See, if you look at the entire evolution of life, you will find that there are consistent periods of stability built by very, very short periods of time when there are volatile changes that happen in the world. During the period of consistency, everything is stable, it moves very steadily, and it's a state of comfort. And then suddenly a predominant technology emerges which causes destability in the entire way in which life was moving on, in the way people used to think, in the way people used to get their things done, in the kind of technology that people predominantly used. And during that period, volatile changes happen. So steady paces of life built by small wedges when volatile changes happen, and then again around the predominant technology, another phase of steadiness is built. And this is how, if you will see in life, there is Stone Age, there is the Iron Age, then there is this. So today we are facing an age which is an age of technology, which is an age of internet. And what happens is that the patterns which were steady over a period of time have, during the period of wedge, now gone through a series of volatile changes till this predominant technology will once again bring a steadiness until another wedge is created in the evolution of life. And this is the theory of punctuated equilibrium.
Okay. And so, if we were to talk about learnings in adult life, what significance would this theory hold?
See, look at it this way. Have you ever thought how a child learns? Predominantly, a child learns through a process which is called pattern identification, pattern reaffirmation, and pattern repetition. So first, the child is thrown open to a different set of patterns from which it starts identifying that if I cry, I am given milk, and it establishes that pattern. Thereafter, it reaffirms the pattern. That means thereafter, it establishes a pattern that whenever I cry, I get milk. Whenever I smile, I get a hug. So the association and reaffirmation of pattern happens. And lastly, thereafter, it establishes a pattern to repeat. Thereafter, the child says, whenever I want milk, I will cry. So therefore, the entire pattern of learning process from the time a person is a small child till the time a person becomes adult is based on this model of pattern identification, pattern reaffirmation, and then pattern repetition. And therefore, as you keep growing into the world of adult learning, the same pattern continues. And that's the learning that you have for adult learning from this.
Okay. And what would its implications be, sir, with regard to corporate life?
See, it's very important. What is critical and why are we also using this model as the basis on which we want to tell people how learning in organizations happen is, number one, for organizations to constantly keep believing that we need to have a learning mindset, and the culture of the organization should not be ironclad by any kind of an arrogance to believe that we know everything about everything just because we are successful, because there is never going to be a period of steadiness for a very, very long period of time, particularly now in today's age and time when we find ourselves in a situation that we are in a cusp of technological changes, that every day a new element is found. Say, for example, if you today take your iPads keep changing. You barely 8 months ago bought the iPad 1, and by the time you could establish yourself, you are in a state you have an iPad 2 with the 3G coming in, and by the time you will do that, there'll be yet another technology coming in. So in an age and time when changes happen at this kind of a fast pace, no person, no organization, merely because it is successful, can afford to have an arrogance in its mind to say, I don't need to learn because I'm successful. So to create an open learning environment and a culture which facilitates learning is the first lesson that organizations need to take to themselves. The second most important thing is that every organization's success is based on the learnings it has had in the past and the new learnings that it needs to have. Now the question is that there are patterns based on which one learns on what its experiences in the past have been, and there are new patterns that you need to learn to be able to successfully do your business in the new world that you want to go in, because the future patterns are not going to be the same as your patterns of yesterday have been. Therefore, how do we create ambidextrousness in the organization where you are comfortable repeating the patterns of the past and also comfortable handling the new patterns of the future, so that you are able to manage both learnings from your past and learnings for the future, so that you can survive based on the learnings of the past and learnings of the future. And the last is that any learning in an organization, there is a wide array of offerings being given by people who sell learning programs, who are consultants, who are doing training and things like that. So any learning is meaningful only if it is actionable and it drives a value to the business in the process of value creation. So no learning which is not linked to the business results, no learning which improves value creation process, no learning which is in line of what development people need to make to be able to be ambidextrous and comfortable with patterns of the past and patterns of the future, unless it directly is associated to that, the learning has no great advantage. And therefore, these are the three immediate takeaways from the theory of punctuated equilibrium onto the corporate life. Okay. And that's what we have been highlighting.
So, sir, essentially, each new day in life, you have to learn and keep on learning something new to grow.
Sure. And you need to learn and you need to forget, because in the changing world, your success not only comes from your ability to learn, but also your ability to forget the past patterns, because past patterns create a state of comfort. And we don't want people to be in a state of comfort, because the new pattern that you're going to follow is going to create a state of discomfort. And which is why people shun changes, because you're very, very comfortable with a pattern. Whenever a new pattern is formed, you want to be you become uncomfortable, and therefore you shun it. Therefore, the most important thing is, how do we teach people to be comfortable with the old patterns and at the same time be comfortable with the new patterns of emerging learnings that are necessary to succeed.
Thank you very much, sir, for a great session on learning at work. I'm sure it
Welcome.
Great learning for you.
And I'm sure, Vividha, you will get to learn a lot personally also if you follow this as a pattern.
Sure.
All right. And thank you very much for this. Good luck.